By the second half of the first season of Star Trek The Next Generation, it was hitting its stride. There was very good character development, very good episodes. But this episode is sort of like a cheap film noir knockoff because who knew Picard was a big fan of pulp novels. It's called The Big Goodbye, and the title itself is kind of a connection with, similar titles like The Long Goodbye. Now, directed by Joseph L. Scanlon and written by Mel's relation Tracy Torme. The feature music by Dennis McCarthy really puts it all together. A very good supporting cast, including the incomparable Lawrence Tierney as Cyrus Redblock, kind of a play on the key character Maltese Falcon, and of course Harvey Jansen playing the evil character called Felix Leach. Now, The Big Goodbye is the 12th episode of Star Trek The Next Generation. First appeared on January 11th, 1988, a little bit earlier in Canada because it was on a Saturday that year in Canada, tied in with Hockey Night in Canada. There was the second writing credit of the series for Torme, following the episode Haven. Rob Bowman planned to direct the episode, but he was switched to Datalore due to delays in its production. With Bowman working on another episode, Scanlon became the director. Now, set in the 24th century, again, Patrick Stewart was leading the way as captain. The episode was the first to focus primarily on the holodeck, a technology that can create realistic, immersive simulated environments. In this episode, Captain Picard, Data, and Dr. Crusher are trapped due to a computer malfunction in a 40s-style gangster holodeck program, with Captain Picard playing the role of Detective Dixon Hill. Now, Torme credited Roddenberry with the idea for the detective novel and employed a film noir style using references to the Maltese Falcon. Now, Tierney, who appeared in film noir movies in the 40s up until his retirement, guest stars as Cyrus Redblock. The Dixon Hill setting reappeared in 2 later episodes of the series and in the film Star Trek First Contact. Now, 11.5 million viewers across the stage watched it, but critical reception was mixed. One reviewer found it too similar to the original series episode A Piece of the Action, which it is not. Other reviewers complained about the holodeck, but praised Tierney's performance. The episode won an Emmy Award for Outstanding Costumes for a series, as the only Star Trek ep to ever win the Peabody Award, because they're pretty well dressed in film noir, regalia. Now, the Enterprise has a mission to Toronto 4 to open negotiations with the Gerada, an insect-like race that is usually strict in matters of protocol. After practicing the complex greeting, the Gerada are required to open negotiations. Captain Picard, with the help of Deanna Troi, masters the greeting, but decides to relax with a Dixon Hill hard-boiled detective story, The Holodeck. Playing Detective Hill in the Holo program, Picard takes up the case of Jessica Bradley, played by Carolyn Alport, who believes that Cyrus, played by Tierney, is trying to kill her. Picard decides to continue the program later and leaves the holodeck to affirm their estimated arrival at Toronto 4. He invites Dr. Beverly Crusher and visiting historian Dr. Whalen, played by David Seelberg, to join him in the holodeck. While Crusher is still preparing, Picard and Whalen are ready to enter the holodeck when Data arrives, having overheard Picard's invitation. Entering the holodeck, the three discover that Jessica has been murdered in Picard's absence. As he explains that he saw Jessica in his office the day before, Lieutenant Bell brings Picard to the police station requesting as a suspect in her murder and roughs him up. Meanwhile, the Enterprise is scanned from a distance by the Gerada, causing a power surge in the holodeck external controls. Dr. Crusher later enters the holodeck, first experiences a momentary glitch with the holodeck doors, and joins her friends at the police station. And there's a very interesting scene where basically she's accosted for her looks by a police officer, and she's basically trying to chew gum for the first time. Now, the Gerada demand a greeting earlier than the agreed time and are insulted having to talk to anyone else than the captain. The crew tries to communicate with Picard the holodeck, but finds it impossible. Gerada's signal has impacted the holodeck's functions, preventing the doors from opening or allowing communication with the crew inside. Now, when LaForge and Wesley Crusher attempt to repair the holodeck systems, but to no avail. While inside the holodeck, the group returns to Dixon's office, where Mr. Leach, Harvey Jason, appears, having waited for Picard, demanding he turn over an option he believes Jessica gave him, or as we call it, the MacGuffin. When Picard fails to understand, Leach shoots Dr. Whalen with a gun, and the crew discovers that the safety protocols have been disabled as Whalen is severely wounded. Now, this doesn't really make any sense. How can the holodeck shoot a member of the crew where basically that type of thing should not exist in the first place? This is it's a plot hole like crazy, because he never really described how the holodeck could do that. When you first see the holodeck, it was just showing I think it was a martial arts demonstration that Tasha Yar was showing to a visiting dignitary. Now, as Dr. Crusher cares for his wound, Picard and Data discover that the holodeck is malfunctioning and they are unable to exit the program. Leach is then joined by Red Block and continues to demand the object of great value. Hill's friend Lieutenant McNary arrives and becomes involved in a standoff. Picard tries to explain the nature of the holodeck, but Red Block refuses to believe him. Now, outside, Wesley finds a glitch. However, he simply cannot turn off the system for fear of losing everyone inside. Instead, in a very strong scene, Wesley resets the simulation, briefly placing Picard and the others in the middle of a northern New Brunswick snowstorm before finding themselves back in Dixon's office. With the reset successfully clearing the malfunction, the exit doors finally appear. Despite Picard's warnings, Red Block and Leach exit the holodeck, but dissipate as he moves beyond the range of its holomitters. As they leave the holodeck, Picard thanks McNary, who now suspects that his world is artificial, and asks whether Picard's departure is the big goodbye, to which Picard replies that he does not know. But of course, there's a very sad scene when the holodeck closes, everything goes to dark. Picard eventually reaches the bridge in time to give the proper greeting to the Jurata, with a great fanfare by his cast and crew. The Jurata accept the greetings, again heralding the start of successful nominations. Now, there's numerous references to the Maltese Falcon this, but there's a very interesting point where basically Picard is saying, I saw automobiles. Like it was the greatest thing he had ever seen. Now, initial idea for the holodeck program again came from Roddenberry and other writing staff. Torme received credit for writing the episode. Now, as Torme said, he added film noir elements, including references again to the Maltese Falcon, which a lot of people consider the greatest one of all time. Red Block and Leach represent the characters by Cindy Greenstreet and Peter Lorre, but Tierney wasn't as fat as Greenstreet was, and the other gentleman was a poor imitation of Peter Lorre. The production staff attempted to create the same layout of the detective office for the film. Now, Dixon Hill was originally named Dixon Steele in reference to In a Lonely Place, a film noir starring Bogart. However, the name was changed due to similarities with the name of the title character in the American TV series, the very popular Remington Steele with Pierce Brosnan. The episode's name is itself a reference to two works by Raymond Chandler, The Big Sleep and The Long Goodbye. Torme expanded the Jurata a great deal, but because of budgetary restraints, they're only heard in the episode. After the episode Haven, The Big Goodbye is the second writing credit for Torme. Now, again, of course, Bowman was supposed to direct the episode, but Scanlon got the assignment. Now, Scanlon and Torme recommended filming the holodeck sequences in black and white, but Berman and Justman, the duo that are running the showrunner, disagreed with the idea. The Big Goodbye was the first episode based on the holodeck in the Star Trek franchise, although the animated series episode The Practical Joker was notable for showcasing an early prototype for holodeck technology by way of a rec room, when it came out 14 years before, during the TNG episode in 1974. Now, the holodeck would appear later in the season in 11001001, as well as a number of other episodes in various series, and eventually become a regular feature, of course, where Sherlock Holmes, played by Data, is held by Moriarty, a very impressive series of episodes. Now, because of the differences between the Dixon Hill scenes and those set in the Enterprise, Scanlon treated diverse settings as it were filming two unconnected episodes. Now, Tierney, of course, a lot of film noirs, including Dillinger and The Devil with Thumbs a Ride, and of course Reservoir Dogs. Now, playing Joe Cabot in there rejigged his career in 1992. Now, Wheaton later recalled if he felt intimidated by Tierney during the filming, as he was 15 and Tierney had a reputation having a character similar to the tough guys he typically played. Now, Tierney returned to Star Trek in 1997 to play an alien regent in the Deep Space Nine episode Business as Usual. Now, Wheaton said that after 12 previous episodes in the series at the time, he and the cast and crew preferred The Big Goodbye, as allowed them to play a period piece. Now, The Dixon Hill hologram appeared in the second season episode Manhunt, where Roxana Troy was going through the phase, and the fourth season episode Clues, and the film Star Trek First Contact. The Dixon Hill characters are also featured in the novel Hard Rain. Now, in the Star Trek Enterprise episode Congenitor, Trip Tucker selects a movie to watch. On the list of titles, one is called Dixon Hill in the Black Orchard. Now, in recognition of the new standard of quality for first-run syndication, the episode was nominated and honored with a Peabody in 1987. The Big Goodbye was also nominated for 2 Emmy Awards in the category of Outstanding Cinematography and for a series and Outstanding Costumes, which it won. Now, according to Peabody Board, rather than give it to the usual realities of first run and produce a low-budget but profitable program, the producers chose instead to offer the highest quality in writing, decor, acting, and indeed, all facets of production. In doing so, they have set a new standard of quality for first-run syndication, and this is exemplified in the episode The Big Goodbye. Now, again, 11.5 million viewers, similar amount, 10% in Canada, 1.5 to 1.7. It was the first new episode broadcast since the previous November, when 10.3 million viewers watched Haven, and the presentation is much, much, much better. Now, Data Lore was the previous episode, and it got 1.2 million viewers more. Now, after its initial release, a review and TV Guide criticized the episode for, again, its similarity to Piece of the Action, which featured a planet based on Turdy's Gangland, Chicago. Now, several reviewers rewatched the episode after the end of the series. Keith DeCandido of Tor.com praised the stellar guest casting and said that Tierney owned the episode. He compared the episode to the Maltese Falcon and said the episode featured charming performances by the entire cast. Now, the Will Wheaton said the episode was a fantastic collaborative effort, with Torme's script to Joseph Scallon's direction to Brown cinematography to every actor's performance. He also gave the episode an A on his rating board. Now, some people didn't like the dialogue, and some people didn't like the overall performance. But Looper said it was one of the best episodes for Jean-Luc Picard because he was playing something he really enjoyed. Now, the idea about filming black and white, I don't think it would have worked. Now, when we saw that in Canada, in that what I call the Hockey Night in Canada era, was shown before the big hockey game on CBC on Saturday nights in Canada. We thought this was going to be a 2-hour episode, because when you would watch it, you think, well, it's not going to end here, because they should have ended up with them caught in the snow and made a 2-parter to give, Tierney and maybe Picard a lot more scenes together. But this is 4 stars out of 5. The only negativity I find with the episode, again, Gates McFadden is not a good actress in film noir. She gives a very, very stinted performance. But the joy seeing on, Brent Spiner and Patrick Stewart's face playing the characters, we know it's Star Trek, but are having a great amount of fun. It's a fun episode. I know it sounds weird, where people got shot and people basically find out they're just a hologram and are going to die at the end of the episode. But it's a tremendous, tremendous, intellectually stimulating episode. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you like what you're doing here with our Star Trek podcast, let us know with a like, comment, subscribe, or share. If this is the first time you're hearing Film Noir was on Star Trek, what rock you been under? And again, give us a like, comment, subscribe, or share.